Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. Hope you all are well. This commentary is pertaining to day three of the USA versus Sean Combs. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ BeganG129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome during the live stream. Live now with Fox is the commentary. And after the audio plays, I will recap things that were mentioned during the trial. Please check out my extensive library in the YouTube queue of videos and shorts. I have a lot of shorts pertaining to the past couple of days of testimony. And after this live, I will upload more shorts pertaining to today's testimony. Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you.
Welcome back to year two, live and now from Fox. I'm Andy Mack. Let's dive into the details of day three of the Diddy trial in New York City. Of course, the music mogul facing these charges, federal charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. On the stand today, it was Cassie, his ex-girlfriend. The direct questioning ended. Cross-examination will begin tomorrow. A live picture there outside of the courthouse and more graphic details. We want to warn our audience before we get into this because they are seriously disturbing in nature. We're going to be joined right now by Fox 5 New York's Lisa Evers on the ground there on a rainy day in New York City. Lisa, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. What's the biggest takeaway? What did we learn today?
Bombshell testimony that was given by Cassie Ventura. I was in the courtroom here on the 26th floor in the building you see right behind me, federal court here in Lower Manhattan, and all the tension was building all day long, hour by hour since early this morning. She's describing the freak-offs, hundreds of freak-offs that she said she had during the course of her relationship with Sean Diddy Combs. They were happening almost weekly, lasting 1 to 4 days. They were taking drugs. Then she said she developed an opiate addiction because she had to take downers in order to just numb herself afterwards. She was in physical pain. She had physical ailments like UTIs, but was still forced to, in her words, participate in these freak-offs. And then as her dissatisfaction grew with the freak-offs, and she was seeing very clearly that there was no way she was going to have anything resembling a normal, healthy family type relationship with Sean Diddy Combs, she started to try to get away from him and to build her own life independently. And then, Andy, she described how he threatened her with exposure of these very, very graphic videos that he had made of these freak-offs if she decided to try to leave him or to try to get away from him. And then there were also many beatings, frequent beatings. They showed in court today the graphic photos of the beatings, the injuries that she sustained from those beatings. And then towards the end of the day, she even said that when she left Combs in 2018, she went to have dinner with him. Afterwards, they went back to her house to kind of finish things off, as she said, in a positive way, a friendly way. She says he allegedly raped her in her living room in her California home. So people, when one of the jurors first went, it was just one thing after another, just one devastating emotional blow. And one juror, when they first saw those images of these freak-offs, which were not made public, which are under seal in the court record, so we can't even request them, was so graphic. She clutched her chest like this, like sighing like that. And then, all of this is happening. Combs on one side, his supporters, his family on one side, her husband, her mother, and other family members for her on the other side. And she broke down when she described this sexual assault and said that this burden of everything she'd been through and all of these, all of the inner conflict she went through, like, I love him, but I can't stay in this relationship. I can't change it. I can't make it better. I have to get away. And that even in 2023, when she was now married to Alex Fine, who was in the courtroom for her husband, who's been very protective and supportive of her, they had already had 2 kids by 2023. She said that she turned to him one night. She just felt so burdened by everything that she basically said to him, listen, you can raise these kids on your own. You don't need me. I'm worthless. And then she tried to leave the house to go do self-harm, as she put it. And he stopped her and basically saved her life at that point. And then the final piece of bombshell testimony came when she revealed that she received $20 million to settle that civil suit that started this whole thing in November of 2023, Andy. So a tremendous amount there, and it was just getting more emotional and more intense throughout the day, as you can imagine, Andy.
I can only imagine what you were witnessing there inside the courtroom. And of course, as we noted, you noted that the jury, some of the lawyers, the judge can see some of these images of these freak off, the videos, the photos. You mentioned the passive reaction. Did he also apparently looked at some of these images in a binder? Did you witness that moment?
I didn't witness him looking at them. I saw the binder when the prosecution handed the binder to the judge in order to work out this deal, because the thing they did not want to have happen is to show these videos, and have them get out publicly and embarrass people and cause further trauma, because she is very clearly trying to heal. She went through all kinds of therapy for trauma and for sexual abuse, for all of these things. And she wait, we got to readjust here. We're getting pounded with the rain. But she went through all kinds of therapy after 2018 to try and get through all this. And of course, Combs didn't let her go right away. There were other incidents that happened, and she finally was able to break free and build this whole new life for herself.
Let me pause you real quick.
And it was stunning.
Let me pause you real quick. We see lawyers leaving the courtroom. You readjust real quickly. Let's listen in here on Live Now from Fox to what's going on there
in the coming weeks, but I'm not going to give a date, but as you can see in court, she's very pregnant. She's about to give birth, but she's holding up strong. I mean, having to recap what happened during those 10 years and beyond, and talking about her contemplation of suicide, really just very powerful.
What do you think really is the part that got? It seemed like she really talked about their love. She really started to break down about how he just wasn't giving her what she needed, and she really felt that they were in love.
I think really just she was numb from the drugs that she was taking and everything that she had gone through, and she realized that she had to tell the truth. And she told the truth in November 2023 when she filed her civil complaint. She revealed that she settled that case for $40 million.
Were you surprised that she said that?
No, that's not. And now she's here in court to tell her truth here. So, but great, as I've said before, we have great faith in the jury system. We're going to let the jury decide, obviously, on Mr. Combs' faith, but today was just a powerful day. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, you're just listening in there, calling it a powerful day. That is Douglas Wigder, the attorney for Cassie Ventura, as you heard, a powerful day on the stand. Turning our attention back to Lisa Evers there, Fox 5 on the ground. You were witnessing it.
Excuse me, I want to interject there. There's been much talk earlier in the day why Cassie needed to confer with her attorney. Don't know if it's for emotional support or maybe he's going to give her advice on what she should reveal, which she's been pretty blatant in her commentary pertaining to what went on with she and Sean and others. So I don't really know, but my thing is she's already revealing very graphic material. So I can't really say why the defense didn't want her talking to her lawyer while testifying. But as some have said, experts, she's not supposed to be conferring with the state, even though she is the star witness. So there's not really anything that needs to be said to her attorney. And also, we learned that her husband stayed outside of the courtroom most of her testimony when he got into the details of a 2018 incident. I got a feeling, as I said before in my commentary this week, I have a feeling that Alex had no idea the extent of the abuse and the sexual escapades and just the dealings with Sean in general. I don't think she told him everything. And one thing we've learned about people, they don't tell everything, which they don't have to. It is their private business. She married him quite soon after meeting him a year. They dated, I guess, for a year or so after she broke up with Sean. Somebody said that's too soon. I think it is, due to the fact she was on and off with Sean for, now it says 11 years. The number keeps changing. I think she should have taken some time to get to know herself, do some things for herself before, getting in a serious relationship and marrying him. And now she's on baby number three. Excuse me for saying that one of the kids may not have been his. I think I was mixing her up with somebody else, but she's on baby number three now with Mr. Alex. And I'm sure it has affected him the past couple of days. Watching his wife tell her personal business, he probably has an attitude towards Sean. Probably wanted to jump over the seating to exact harm against him because this is his wife. She's also pregnant. And I think it's very traumatic for her to even be telling all of this and pregnant. And I just personally can't see telling this to the general public. That's just me personally. Um, this blackmail game between both, look where it is now. Almost 2 years later, in an open court, revealing just some very disturbing information, vile information, personal information, and it's disgusting. Now, we've left the realm of you can have sex with whomever you want. We're past that stage now. When you start talking about the body fluids, leaving the rooms, hotel rooms in disarray and filth, we're past that stage of, oh, he's just a swinger. That's under the bridge now. It's worse at this point.
Inside. He also made note of the lawsuit and the $20 million that she received. Can you get more into that? And what was Cassie like when she said that she felt like she was coming forward with it, that she had to get this off her chest?
She was, first of all, Andy, to your point, that is Douglas Wigdor. He's Cassie's attorney. He was the one that helped craft that civil lawsuit that basically set all of the wheels in motion since November of 2023. And the reason it became public was because Diddy had refused to settle it out of court. The paperwork was filed, and the paperwork was only in the system for about 24 hours, but it was so explosive that the information leaked out, and then that's what set everything off into motion here. But he's handled other high-profile cases, and he's been with her. He was sitting with her mother, with Cassie's mother, and with her husband and the family in that row that they had in the courtroom. And it's just been very emotional. Cassie broke down talking about the sexual assault. She kept it together. Her composure today. She just walked in with tremendous confidence. And we could see Combs keeping his eye. He was transfixed as soon as she passed the defense table where he was seated with his attorneys and walked up to the witness stand in the court. You could see he did not move. He was like a statue. He was just looking straight ahead. We couldn't see the front of his face, but his body language was just like looking at it, and he literally did not move. His eyes were riveted on her for a long time, and that was a little bit eerie, to tell you the truth. But she held it together. She regained her composure, and that was, these were the most intense moments so far of the entire trial. Now tomorrow, what's going to be interesting to see is who in the defense team is the one that actually questions her and cross-examines her on everything that she has said. So you can be sure that they will be looking at, that they have done research on what was in that civil lawsuit, that they're going to be doing all kinds of preparation for that. It'll be interesting to see what kind of an approach they take, because the defense has maintained that this is domestic abuse, this is not trafficking. However, and you follow a lot of these legal cases, is the prosecution has been putting their they've been building step by step, stone by stone, the various elements they need to prove to the jury that this is in fact sex trafficking. It is RICO. It is transportation of prostitutes across state lines, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But tomorrow, I'm sure, will be quite emotional as well, Andy.
Yeah, we're just getting started. 0 to 100, and cross-examination begins early tomorrow morning, Thursday, inside that courtroom. Lisa Evers, I appreciate your time.
Okay.
With your insight here on Live Now from Fox.
Thank you, Andy.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great conversation there as always. It is so fascinating to see one more time a live look at those doors outside of the courtroom. And of course, we are going to get familiar. No cameras inside the courtroom, and even the members of the media, the family members of Diddy, aren't able to see some of the videos and photos that are in this case. They are sealed one more time. So we're following that here on Live Now from Fox. Let's turn our attention right now More on this here on Live Now from Fox, and bring into the conversation here TMZ executive producer. I know he's been following it very closely, the Sean Diddy Combs trial there in New York. Michael Babcock, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now from Fox. We just heard all of that kind of description of what happened inside of that courtroom, a powerful amount of testimony from Cassie Ventura. What was the big takeaway for you, Michael, today?
Yeah, Andy, I think as powerful as yesterday was, obviously listening to Cassie recount some of these horrific things that she said she went through, incredibly powerful. I mean, for me, you listen on Monday to the prosecution and the defense frame this in two very different ways. The prosecutors, presented this as if this was somebody in Cassie who was who was forced, who was coerced into doing these things over a 10-year period that she did not want to do. On the other side, though, Andy, you had the defense that said this, it may be behavior that you would not do in your bedroom, the proverbial bedroom, but that at the end of the day, this were two adults, consenting adults, making a decision to engage in this behavior. And then to listen to Cassie on the stand today, and for her to say that he not only used videos of these freak-off parties that she said sometimes lasted for 4 days, that he used this video to essentially control her and manipulate her and make her do these freak-offs again and again and again against her will, and used physical violence as well, in her words. It really is a stark, different image than what the defense said it would be.
Yeah, there's the two contrasting storylines, and you mentioned some of this, the PTSD that she sustained, the overwhelming amount that it continued to consume her, or even as she went on to have several kids, obviously bury her husband in the courthouse today. I want to ask you about that lawsuit, because the revealing of the $20 million feels pretty big, and we're going to hear more about it during cross-examination.
Yeah.
Can you get into that, the price tag of this, and what do we make of the lawsuit, and how important it could be to this trial?
Yeah, incredibly important, and I think it's important in that without that lawsuit, I think there's a great chance that Diddy is not sitting where he is sitting, and we're not having this conversation now, Andy, because I think it's possible that charges would never have even been brought here. I think the reality is that Cassie filing that lawsuit got the ball rolling in a big way and in a meaningful way, and people started to pay attention once you had this other person who, fine, is not the level of star that Diddy is, but that has a lot of fans, and that people pay attention when she spoke. And I think her bringing that lawsuit, despite the fact that it was settled very quickly, and now we know for $20 million, which is no small amount of money, I think without that, I'm really not sure that we're here today. I think it's possible that charges would have never been filed. So from that standpoint, and the people that have allegedly been victimized over the years, in a way, Cassie may have gotten them justice by filing that civil lawsuit.
Yeah, that is a very good point. She said she just felt like she needed to do it. Maybe even when she filed it, she didn't know she would be at this point in time testifying before this case in a federal courthouse against Sean Diddy Combs, who she said, even though she was allegedly raped by him as she tried to break it off, still said she didn't really have hate for him, which is very interesting. Another point that I want to bring up is that we haven't heard some of the names, other celebrity names, as much as people might have envisioned during this testimony. Only Kid Cudi and his involvement. Are you surprised by that as well?
A little bit, because I think the speculation had always been that there were a lot of celebrities at these freak-off parties, that they were almost these A-list exclusive parties where you'd have stars all over the place with these crazy things happening. Well, the reality, at least from what we've heard so far, Andy, is that it wasn't that they were involving Cassie and a lot of times random sex workers that, in fact, they found on Craigslist. These were not people who were famous in their own right. They were perfect strangers to Cassie and to Diddy. And I think it goes against what the perception was of these parties. So, yeah, I have been surprised. And that's not to say that doesn't change, that there aren't celebrities named. You brought up Kid Cudi, and that's because Cassie told the story of Diddy finding out that she had been having a physical relationship with Kid Cudi, and that Diddy just flew off the handle, allegedly, when he found this out. and she said threatened her with a wine opener with a corkscrew, and then ended up beating her very badly to the point where she was essentially marked up and down with bruises all over her back. And that's why Kid Cudi came in. So it was sort of on the periphery that Kid Cudi's name was even brought up here.
Yeah, that is a very good point. No names coming up so far. We'll see if that changes during cross-examination. Tomorrow is also interesting, that video inside the Intercontinental Hotel in Los Angeles, that we really saw the genesis of what that fight stemmed from.
Okay, everybody, that was Fox. Welcome to the Vault Excel. Let's get down to business, okay? We're going to discuss things that were mentioned during testimony today with Miss Cassie on the stand, about 8 months pregnant, due at some point. Don't know her due date. All right, everybody. Hello, Chaparita. How are you? Oh, anytime, Danielle. Anytime. Thank you for joining me. Thank you. All right, everybody. A lot to chop up. Once again, at the end of this live, there will be more shorts pertaining to what I discuss in this current live stream, because I started off with giving updates earlier in the afternoon so I could be caught up, so I wouldn't have so many to upload, because YouTube only gives you a certain amount of video uploads and posts to put on your network. We learned that Cassie was involved in many freak-offs, okay? 4 men at once, she testified in court. We learned that allegedly she was jealous of him, he was jealous of her. The past couple of days, what I have to ask myself is, how could Sean be jealous of anyone, including Cassie? How could you be jealous of a woman that you willingly shared with other men, orchestrated her and the men during these freak-offs, King's Nights, also called King's Nights? He's known as a producer of music, so obviously, I guess he wanted to also be a director. So now we can call him a director. Director of porn. Okay? Personal porn. So he left the music arena to direct porn behind closed doors. So I want to know, how is he jealous? All this fighting and threats, allegations of burning up Mr. Cudi's car, the rapper, actor, which it did set fire, and it's one of the charges in the indictment, if you didn't know. I learned that today. So if you're confused about the charges and if he's actually guilty of these charges, you now know the trafficking stems from flying people out to different locations. And once you involve money for sex, that is really the new word they call really prostitution. Is human trafficking, if you did not know that. So once again, how is he jealous of her? And he's filming her, beating her, and sharing her with different men. The freak-off videos in court today were only shown to the jury. Outsiders who were in the court, such as the spectators, family members, court clerk, all those people, were not allowed to see the footage of the freak-offs. Okay, I believe it's about 7 or 8, 9 stills from the freak-offs. Basically, Cassie's explaining what's going on in those freak-offs, giving names. She named people as well today in court. Once again, defense told the judge they did not want her conferring with her attorney. Why? Why not? But as some experts have said, they didn't feel that she should be conferring with her attorney because she's testifying. She's a witness for the state. She also talked about her injuries after the hotel attack. She discussed how he kept calling her, wanting to talking about his kids. I've got 6 kids. The police are here. They're going to arrest me. Don't leave me like this. So this is where we see a weak Sean Combs. And then some might say, oh, he was just putting on so she wouldn't file charges. As we learned, she never named him in the assault against her. Day 2 and 3, we learned of binders of the different men she had sex with. This is very crucial. Today's binder had 13 men that she had sex with. So now we're going to ask the question, how many men were in binder number 1? How many men has she slept with from these escapades? How many freak-offs has she been in with Sean? How many men has she slept with in the freak-offs? How many men she slept with total, dealing with him on and off, which, you know, that's private business. But people are going to ask now that we know about the binders. Will any of these men testify? Because one has testified. One of the strippers, escort, he has testified. Will there be other men to testify? Because naturally this is only a couple of days into a trial. It's expected to go on for about a month or more. So I expect there'll be other testimony from different eyewitnesses, Jane Doe's, Bob Doe's. Who else is going to testify? That was an actual escort sex worker. Cassie asked Sean to erase the videos off of his phone. He told her he did, but he did not. So let's ask the question. Did he record the videos to always have evidence in order to keep her on his hip and blackmail her? Or he did it because he's a sadist, a voyeur, sociopath, or both? He did it because he could. He did it because he enjoyed it. He did it so he could have a replay, go back and look, get off, masturbate, and also to keep her on his hip and blackmail her, which we learned later he did bring that up to her when it came to Kid Cudi, when she decided, when he found out she was dating him. He did use that as leverage. I'll show these videos to the public to hurt you and him, which still he's hurting himself. But this is what happens when you're dealing with a narcissist, a sociopath. They don't really care about hurting themselves because he doesn't have any empathy. It's very interesting information. We also learned that he told her he was shocked that she would fight back. Now, she told the court that she rarely fought back because she knew it would make matters worse. But I think at one point or two or more, she probably fought back. And he told her he was shocked that she would have the gall to fight Sean Puffy Combs. Wow. Going to the apartment, yelling, screaming, hollering after that hotel incident. They show footage of the hotel incident where he broke the vase, debris, plant debris in that lobby area on that floor. Naturally, he had to pay the expenses for that. He was so worried about that information getting out to the public. And now you fast forward many years later, that video was released to CNN last spring of 2024. So the secret got out. The beating from the hotel was pivotal because she had a movie premiere, we learned shortly after. I believe it was days later on a Monday. And naturally, she couldn't show up looking the way she looked. And we learned that after that hotel beating, Sean did go to her, and they were in each other's company after he called bitching and moaning about the police being there at the hotel, worrying about being arrested. He had 6 kids, blah, blah, blah. I'll never speak to you again if I get arrested. You know, just still putting on manipulation. Really, he would have done her a favor had he stopped talking to her after that hotel incident. Even if she still felt like she was, you know, in love, lust, whatever, had he stopped talking to her, he would have done her a huge favor, because we have learned in life you do eventually move on from people. So it would have been nice had Sean cut her off, or vice versa. She cut him off, but as you see, she never did. Are we going to learn that Sean had sex with men in these freak-offs? Because so far we're only hearing that she's having sex with these strange men, and he's watching and filming and masturbating and touching himself. We also learn of abuse in London, where he strikes her, puts his hands on her there, which is so crazy to me. You would fly someone overseas for a trip, and then you're beating this person as if, you know, you don't want them to be seen out in public. But we learn he's violent, so it doesn't even matter why he's beating her. We learned that anything would set him off, the way she looked, the way she talked. She made faces. He would tell her, you know, take that smirk off your face. And he was hitting and punching her, dragging her, pulling her by her hair. He's just a very violent individual. He learned about Kid Cudi through a burner phone she had. And so this was his, you know, scale tipper. What? You're having sex with somebody else? This is when she called herself having a break from Sean, which, as I said, she should have stayed on that break. That was, I think, 2011. He found out about it, and he went off. He threatened to blow up Kid Cudi's car, which shortly after the threat, his car was set afire. Did Sean Puffy Combs hire someone to set the car on fire, or he did it himself? Okay. And that is one of the charges in the indictment, arson, if you did not know. Okay. Wow, this is deep. Will Kid Cudi testify, since now his name has been brought up in this commentary? And as you heard them talking here on Fox, so far no other famous people names have been mentioned, but naturally that could change. His name was only mentioned by happenstance because she's explaining what she was going through dealing with Sean, and that this was a part of the rage. He found out about Kid Cudi. He threatened to expose her in videos to her. She and Mr. Cudi threatened to blow his car up, and then we learned his car was set afire. With all this wranglings going on in that London hotel, and I think she came back, or not before she came back to the States from that London trip. She had went back to, I think it's at her hotel room, and found pee all over the floor and poop in the toilet, which she said was very disgusting. When she got back to Connecticut from that hotel trip in London, that London trip where he was beating her up as well, her mother learned of her abuse, took pictures, but she didn't tell her mother the type of relationship she had with Sean. She did not tell her mother about the freak-offs that was asked in court today. Did you tell your mother? No. Did she know about the freak-offs? No. Who would tell their mother this? Stay woke, everybody. Who would tell their mother, yes, I sleep with different men because I want to be closer to Sean. I'm in love, obsessed with a man who has no respect for me, doesn't really like me. He has shown me this, but I can't leave him alone. Who would tell their mother? Who would tell their friend? And now all those secrets are out. So what she hid from her friends, family, they now know. Also, the world knows. Damn, this is deep. Once again, no charges pressed against him for that London incident. We also learned that from all these freak-offs, she had girly problems. She had tummy troubles, don't know what that's about, but she had constant UTIs, and the freak-offs would still go on while she was infected. So did she catch any venereal diseases? As I put in a short earlier, everyone is dancing and talking around the elephant in the room, which is diseases, HIV, AIDS. There is no way we're going to sit here now and listen to her testify about all these different men who probably never used a condom, Sean sleeping around with different women, possibly men as well, that somebody didn't come up short in this bunch. So Queen is going to ask, is there anyone in this freak-off arena HIV positive or has full-blown AIDS? Because this woman is now married to another man. She has 3 kids with him. You have to ask that question because Pandora's box has been opened. There's no way you cannot ask. We also learned that he would have her have sex when she was on her period. So the rooms would be filled with urine from where the men are urinating on her, urinating in her mouth. We learned that yesterday, her choking on the urine. One guy says she asked him to pee on her, and then she said that Sean would pee on her, but Sean didn't pee on her often, but peed enough. Lord have mercies. Jesus, take the wheel. My goodness. So he's got her having sex on her period, got her having sex while infected with the UTIs and God knows what else. She's caught downtown. Health declining. Has she ever had an AIDS test? If so, what are the results? Has Sean ever had an AIDS test? Has anybody in these freak-offs had an AIDS test? And once again, has anyone in these freak-offs become infected with HIV, HPV, herpes, syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, trichomonas, so on and so forth?
We also learned that during one of these escapades, she vomited, and he basically was, I guess, telling her to clean herself up, get back to business. Wow. This is serious. I've been on the fence about this Cassie freak off stuff since she started testifying because I see that she willingly went along. And as I said to someone today, Miss Sue, my dear friend Sue, that how do you weigh this? You have empathy because she was young, but what if it was a 40-year-old? Would you feel the same? A 40-year-old chasing in behind a man who's famous and having freak offs, and she's participating at 40, she's participating at 50. Would you judge the age differently? Because some people still are harsh on Cassie because she did participate, which she did. She admits she participated. We also learned she used a credit card. I won't doubt his name was on the card, but then today I got information that she testified and said he paid. So were these credit cards in his name and her name both on the cards? Because now there's a difference of information. She booked them in, she chose them in, but then in court today she said he paid. So what's going on with that? Jesus wept. She settled a lawsuit with Sean Puffy Combs, the winner of 23, when all this nasty business started coming out of a undisclosed amount. We now learn it was for $20 million. Okay? $20 million. As I said before, the husband could not listen to this testimony today, and he stayed outside of the courtroom for most of her testimony when she goes into her wranglings with Sean in 2018. Mr. Alex stepped out of the courtroom today during most of her testimony. We also got information that's circling about a sex slave from other networks of a Mr. I think his name is Odie. He was the one that shot up that Trump venue hotel many moons ago, and he signed an NDA with Sean for $5 million. Was going through a divorce. The wife never knew about it, and she says she believes that he divorced her because he didn't want to pay her that money, share that money. And he now admits that he got entangled with that lifestyle from working as a Chippendale, and that led to the escorting, which also then led to him becoming an adult film star. He was also said he believes he was bipolar, on drugs, and that's what led to him shooting up that lobby at that Trump hotel in Florida. And then that got out to the public during interrogation, where he says he was Sean's and Cassie's sex slave. Sean's sex slave. He met Sean at an exclusive Miami party, and that's how Sean came to hire this Jonathan fellow as a entertainer for them. He claims he had at least 15 encounters with Cassie and Sean. He's also repeating the same MO that Cassie has repeated, that Sean would sit in the corner and film and touch himself while the two had sex, he and Cassie, also orchestrating and directing them to do this, to do that. Basically a nasty game of Twister. Shut up, Queen. Shut your mouth. This man is now currently incarcerated from that shooting at that Trump hotel. Don't know how much time he got. We learned of a rape in 2018, and this is probably why Mr. Alex walked out of the court, her husband. Sean assaulted her in her living room. Okay? In her own living room. We learned that he lunged at her with a wine opener when he heard about her dating Kid Cudi. And that was 2011. Once again, threatened to blow up the man's car, and indeed, it did blow up. She became a drug addict. We heard her talk about this in court, that she had to get high just to have sex with the men. She sought treatment several times, about 5-6 times, during her relationship with Sean Puffy Combs. She is currently drug-free and been free since 2022. Also, she admits in court that others witnessed the abuse by Sean, such as workers, assistants, bodyguards, so on and so forth. Did any of them ever intervene to say, hey, what you're doing is wrong? And we heard this with the R. Kelly nonsense. Many eyewitnesses, but nobody's jumping in between to say, hey, stop. Take your hands off of her, him. What you're doing is wrong. Because that's what's going on with a lot of people. People are willing to ride the ride for the almighty dollar. And a lot of people feel like that's why she hung in there with Sean. I can't say, I'm not in her head, why she hung on to him. As many people have commented in articles and videos pertaining to this case, women have hung on to men for no money. Women have endured abuse for broke-ass men. Exactly. So someone say, then what is the difference between lusting in behind a broke-ass man and lusting in behind a rich one? Because they are the same. Only one has money and one does not. Once again, hotel photos were shown from that incident at the Intercontinental. We learned that the family had a prayer circle today after Cassie testified, the Combs family. Well, now, what are you praying about? Because you know that what she told in court is damning and it's disgusting and it's vile. And even his own girl children walked out earlier in the week when one of the escorts was testifying about the sexual escapades between he and Cassie and Sean. See, it's hard to look at people in that type of light when you didn't know that they were doing these type of things. And that's the whole point. You're not supposed to know what people are doing behind closed doors sexually. Well, now his children, family know what he's been doing. Friends, associates, United States, and abroad. We now know that he plays dirty behind closed doors. So what I have to ask also, any woman he's dated after Cassie, has he also introduced men into the spectrum? We learned with a Jane Doe, he did the same with her, and she's expected to testify as well, this Jane Doe. And also there's a Jane Doe missing who has not responded to the state. I don't know what's going to happen, if they'll put out some type of warrant for her not for complying. We'll see how that goes. Tomorrow, the defense will cross-examine Cassie Ventura, and I'm sure they'll probably get very wicked with their cross-examination. Cassie met her husband, Alex, at a gym. We learned, I think they said he was in sports, and then he became a fitness personnel trainer. And then she married him a year after ending her relationship with Sean. She is now on baby number 3. As someone said in the commentary that I was listening to a little while ago, imagine had she not filed a lawsuit, there would possibly be no charges against Puffy. She says she has no hate for him. And will we learn of any famous people that partook in the freak-offs? Because right now it's just, ending of day 3. We have a long road, so it's no telling who the state is going to bring forward in testimony pertaining to freak-offs, violence, he said, she said. We have heard in the past that there are videos of Sean with underage persons, and people at the networks of these networks who have seen the commentary said you can see in the videos that this was a child, they look underage, and that they look inebriated and also had no knowledge of being filmed. So see, these are the type of charges that should be on the indictment. And then he had guns confiscated from his house. Those will be other charges. Drugs, those will be other charges. Drugs were in the hotel when he was arrested last September. Those will be other charges. And possibly any videos that can be corroborated that there are children in them, that will be sexual assault against a minor. And definitely you should get life for sexually assaulting a child, filming a child, also drugging a child. You also should go down for drugging a human, putting drugs in their drinks. And we heard that from many people who have current lawsuits against Sean. And will we hear of that testimony, plural, in the upcoming weeks of people who were drugged by him? We will see. Well, Tears, she had friends. She didn't tell anybody. We also learned that she had a relationship with a friend that ended, a 17-year friendship with a girlfriend, her best friend, because of an incident of being abused by Sean. And I guess the friend bowed out, had had enough. So she was telling somebody about her issues, but she wasn't telling everyone. And we have learned when it comes to situations like this that many people will stop supporting people when they realize you won't leave the person. They're tired of hearing you talk about what he did, what she did. So they feel like, well, you like it. You're staying there getting beat up. God forbid you're allowing this person to be around your children. Thank God she didn't have children. Can you imagine this type of sick person around your kids? And he also has children. You know, the audacity of him to mention that when the police was at the hotel. Oh, I got 6 kids. Well, you weren't thinking about your kids when you're sitting up here filming her and orchestrating her where to put her elbow, her arm. You're telling the other guy what to do with his elbow, his foot, his neck, his mouth. You weren't thinking about your 6 kids then. So now we got to ask that question once again. Did he do this type of behavior with Kim Porter? Because she is the mother of, I believe, 3 of his children. So 3 or 4 of his children. Did he do the same with Kim? Did he do this with Jennifer Lopez? They dated briefly in the early 2000s. What happened there? Once again, from my commentary yesterday, we learned about him giving Cassie a gun to put in her purse. They were going to an event downtown, and he feared for his safety, I guess. See, Sean is a manipulator. He's like R. Kelly. He's like Weinstein, Epstein, Bill Cosby. They're all the same. They just manipulate people. They know how to talk. They're finessers. And the one thing we learn about a finesser, they have to be good with the gift of gab. Hey, let's try this. Oh, you look so pretty today. Oh, you smell so good. Oh, I would like your hair this way. She's a Hispanic woman, but obviously he wasn't pleased with her appearance. She's a very beautiful lady. But you see, there's something wrong with Sean because he can't engage with a woman unless there's other parties. That's a problem. That's no different than a man only wanting to watch porn, but has a whole human in their peripheral. The fact that you would need porn in order to have sex with another person, that's a problem. That's Sean. He has to have a visual aid. And that doesn't make any sense to me. You love her, but you're sharing her with strange men and filming it and touching yourself in disguise. Make it make sense. He's tormented himself. And I won't doubt that Sean has had these deviant ways for some time. And usually this shit comes from childhood. He witnessed sexual acts, performances, probably sexual assault against himself as a child. And then he becomes an adult. He's acting all of this nonsense out. And now he's a sadist. And we have learned this about child molesters, sexual assaulters. They were usually assaulted as children. Not to make any excuse, of course. But if you don't get any therapy for why you think this way or why you can't stop thinking a certain way, then you go on to offend. So now he's an offender. And I don't see Sean changing. I'm sorry, I don't. When he got arrested last year at the hotel in New York City, he had drugs in that room. So that tells me everything I need to know about him. He doesn't care about anything. Previously, when that white guy had the drugs on the private plane, they were getting ready to fly overseas and they did the raids last year, same thing. Drugs on the private plane. The guy took the blame for the drugs. This shows you a pattern. Drugs on the plane, spring. Then all that stuff came out about the video at the hotel. Then he gets arrested September, same thing. You go to New York to turn yourself in, and you foolishly have drugs in the hotel room. So he is an addict. Sean is an addict. He's a sadist. He's an addict. I don't see him changing. He's probably had withdrawal since being inside of incarceration from alcohol, substances. Will he get help while in jail? I don't know. Don't really care because I don't feel anything for him. So I basically have been trying to chop up these indictments to understand the charges because the defense feels like this is a matter of sex, bad boy, bad relationship, but not sex trafficking and racketeering. So to understand the charges, that's where all this freak off and flying around from state to state and out of the country, I guess, comes into the charges. He flew people in from place to place for the purpose of sex. So I guess that's where the sex trafficking comes in, which that is what it's called now. It's just a fancier word for prostitution, if I'm not mistaken. He did engage because we have witnesses to say, yes, he paid me. We have an interview with the guy who's locked up, who shot up the Trump Hotel. He admits he was paid. The guy who testified this week, he admit he was paid. I don't think they were lying. I don't see these men just flying in, hooking up with a stranger to have sex with them and their woman for free. But that's the defense's stance. All these people participated in sex with Sean and Cassie for free and their own free will. Wow, wow, wow. So that's what I'm waiting to hear. Will she testify that he engaged with men? Because so far she has not. She never told that this week, to my knowledge, that he joined in with the guys. I think she did say he joined in with her and some other guys. So that means I guess they all were taking turns. But see, that's where I have a problem with that. When that was mentioned, 4 guys with 1 lady plus Sean, that's 5 men. What is everybody standing around doing? Playing Uno while the one's penetrating her? Don't mean to be vile, but make it make sense. 5 men in a room with 1 woman. Do the math. That makes no sense. Hey, you're taking too long. It's my turn. Just saying, what are the men doing while one's penetrating her? And we get it. A woman has 2 entrances besides her mouth. So that would be 3. So let's just say one's in her mouth, one's in her front, one's in her back. Okay. That's 3 penises. Then what are the other ones doing? Just standing there, touching themselves? This is sick. And I don't mean to be graphic, but I tried to make sense of that when that was mentioned in court. 4 men at one time. I thought, what the hell? Okay. And then that counts Sean. That's 5 men. This is some vile SHIT. And this goes to show you don't know people. And yes, you're entitled to have sexual preferences, height, weight, stature. You like men and you're a man. You're a woman. You like a woman. You like threesomes, foursomes. You swing. That is your prerogative. But what was discussed in court the past couple of days is a bit bizarre for swinger life, because we're talking about body fluids, ruining a person's hotel room with urine, blood. You're on a whole nother level at this point. I'm sorry, but you're on a whole nother level. And listening to this commentary made me not want to talk about this case, because I pondered if I could continue bringing content about Sean Puffy Combs, because I've got my own personal things I've got going on right now, and having issues with sleep and, just some different health issues. And really, it's just taking up too much of my time. Just going to be truthful. Trying to keep up with the content and then bringing you the shorts, because more people now are viewing my shorts than the actual live streams. So it's just easier for me to just make the shorts from the court commentary than bringing you the live. But there are people who follow my network and like to hear the content in detail. So that is the only reason why I'm going live tonight, because I wanted to get this content out before a new day, which right now it is a new day here in East Tennessee. It is midnight. He never thought the law of victim would challenge him if anybody did. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Tears. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I wanted to give you all the rundown. I'm glad I started early with taking notes, because that helped cut my time down in gathering the information tonight to go live. So only thing I have to do now, I have a few more shorts to put in the queue pertaining to what I've discussed here. And that will be the end of that commentary for day 3. Once again, it is a new day. Thursday, Eastern Standard Time, Cassie will be on the cross by the defense. And I'm sure they will have no mercy on her because they're going to tell her, you went along with everything. You saw everything, you orchestrated as well. And see, some are going to say, well, why isn't she charged? She's both a victim and what? A victim of abuse, but also she went along with the trafficking, paid the men too, or credit cards, however it worked. She had knowledge. That's the point. That's what the defense is saying. She had knowledge. Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. It's all vile, you know. Like I said, I've been on the fence the past 2 days about her testimony. You know, don't want to, you know, put blame on her. Because like I said, the age, it's all about your interpretation. If you want to say, well, a younger person is more susceptible to being manipulated, we know that's not true because older people are bamboozled and manipulated every day. Date site whores, getting milked out their money, getting used by their lover, husband, wife. People commit fraud every day. So this is what I keep saying about what has happened with Cassie. Really, this is just extreme only because you're hearing about it. But people have broken the law for love, let's say, lust, obsession, every day. You're always hearing about crimes against other humans, animals, and the people have a co-conspirator. You have women who go along with men who molest children, rape people, whatever, sexual assault. We also learn, just looking in the news break, a woman has been arrested with a man, and they kept some girl hostage for 7 years. So, see, you don't know what's going on out here. That is what's so scary. Every time I go on a YouTube queue, I just cringe because every day it's a story of video cam, of police going to someone's house and finding someone in a shed or makeshift room or attic, and they haven't been fed properly. And there are people in the house that know that person is in there. They know they're being held against their will, and nobody is calling the law to say, hey, we have a hostage in here. My mother, father, sister, cousin, dad kidnapped them. You need to come get them out of here. Or open the door and free the person your damn self. No. They ride the ride. And that's what's so disheartening about a lot of these cases, that people are willing to go down in flames for another human being, all in the name of love, lust, they're my relative, blah, blah, blah. But there's no way I'm getting ready to go catch a charge dealing with children or an adult or an animal. But that's the point. Everyone does not navigate the same. And the world is so different. As I was saying to the security personnel today, where I went to the doctor today, I said, we just live in a different time where people are more blunt, people are more vile, people are empty, they have no empathy, they're self-centered, self-entitled, they're selfish. Everything's about filming, going live. Got to take a pic, got to take a photo, got to comment. People have no self-control. And they have no remorse. And that's what I've asked today. Does Sean have any regrets now that this information has come out? Because they say he sat staring at her in court. He's staring at her because he cannot believe she's up there telling all of this. You see, he got to gloat, mistreating her and other people, employees, using these women, men, children, but he never thought it was going to be played back. That's the difference. Yeah, I'll treat you like a dog, but I don't expect to see it on TMZ, Dateline, Netflix, and every network known to man is going to piggyback off this trial. There will be many documentaries made for years to come pertaining to Sean Puffy Combs and Cassie Ventura. anybody in between that played a role. And I'm sure there are many people out there who know him probably were scared when he got indicted, fearing they may be involved, implicated, word that he might throw their name out there or somebody else would throw their name out there. I'm sure there are people worried that Cassie told their names. And she told the state the names of all personnel that witnessed and aided abuse of her. The bodyguards that took her phones, her laptops, you all are dirty too. You're dirty too. You rode the ride for the almighty dollar. And where are you now? It's just like the people that helped R. Kelly. Where are you all now? Nowhere. And that's the whole point of these type of stories. The money runs out because eventually something happens with the person with the money. So as you see, R. Kelly's incarcerated. He's not coming out no time soon. Last appeal denied by the Supreme Court. And even with Sean, even if he's vindicated in this trial, he still has other charges pertaining to the gun charges and the drug charges. And those probably carry many years to facing guns. God forbid they can trace a gun to any type of crime. And that's one thing that law enforcement would say to him, a judge, well, why are you defacing the guns? If you're a legal carrier or you can carry a gun legally, why would you deface a weapon? For what reason? As not to trace it back to a crime. And he's, as I said, he's a user manipulator. He's used these people, used these women. Here, put this gun in your purse. Did that with Jennifer Lopez. He did it with Cassie. Probably done it with these other women he's dated. Going out on the town, here, put this gun in your purse. Just in case. Just in case what? Oh, something jumps off. And you're a party to that, carrying a gun into a public place. He never stood account for the shooting in New York many years ago, where that black girl got shot at that nightclub, almost lost her eye. She should sue him. I don't know if she has a lawsuit or not. I think she does, but all these people need to get their change. Everybody else is getting it, so y'all jump in line and get it too. Then a rapper did what? About 10 years in prison, 8 to 10 years in prison for that incident at that nightclub in New York City. He's changed his life. He lives in a foreign country now because he got deported to his native country. Just, there are too many stories affiliated with Sean, and they're no good. Now, the latest talk is also about Suge Knight, where she testified in court and told that he left the freak off to go chase Suge Knight down. Heard he was at a diner. Somebody called him. So I guess he jumped up with his drawers on to go find him. Don't know how that ended, but you now see where Suge Knight is. He's currently incarcerated. So all these big-time moguls, music men, wealthy men, they are no longer. So what we now will ask, who's next to be put up on the chopping block? Makes me wonder why so many people love greed, lust, and bizarre desires. Cassie has some accountability, but maybe she was brainwashed like Stockholm Syndrome. Yes, and I also asked that question in one of my shorts. Feel free to check out my shorts. Did she have Stockholm Syndrome? She identified with her abuser and knew, hey, I know this isn't right. What he's doing to me, these things he's introducing me to, the drugs, the freak offs, but I'm in love with him. And the one thing she said is the same thing the other Jane Doe said. I only did the freak offs to be in his company, to have quality time. That's sad to me. But see, that's no different than just having sex with a man and settling for just the sex. But there's no camaraderie, there's no intimacy. And I think many of you know this as adults. Sex does not equal quality time. It's just sex. If when you put your clothes on, you don't hear from the person, you don't see them, they don't take you out, you don't go places together, you're not walking the beach, the parks, going to the movies, celebrating functions, holidays, it's just sex. So Cassie has said that in her testimony, and also Jane Doe has said the same. I did the freak offs because this was the only time allotted to me by him. So then I'd have to also say that any other woman who was in Sean's company, you were subjected to the same type of behavior. That's Kim Porter. That's Jennifer Lopez. That's Young Miami, the rapper, another fool who aids him, and she's basically upholding him. That rapper from Miami, Young Miami. She's another dodo bird. Uh, you all were just walking around when he decided to take you out, show you off, or just have sex with you behind closed doors and introduce men. So, Young Miami, I'm going to ask you, did Sean introduce men with you? Kim Porter, she can't speak. She's dead. Jennifer Lopez, you willing to testify to anything? Any other women willing to testify that that's really all you ever had with Sean was engagement with other men? Filming and him sitting in a corner touching himself. That shows you he does not know how to engage with a woman. Because that doesn't even make any sense to be hiring men to have sex with your partner and you sit in a corner in a disguise or sit on the couch in a disguise touching your private parts while this other person is having sex with your supposedly lover. Make that make sense. That shows you Sean is empty and he does not feel anything for any of these women. He never has. And he will never care for a person in a genuine fashion. And I also say that for his children, because you see, a lot of people get it twisted. Oh, well, he's horrible to her, but he's a good father. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. He's a bad boyfriend, but he's a great dad. Oh, he's a great businessman. You carried those behaviors into each arena. And we have seen that. Okay? Don't know anything about any tunnels there. But you can't be a good father and you would beat up a woman. You're acting, vile in sexual situations. You are damaging hotel rooms with body fluids and tearing up stuff. You're showing you don't respect yourself and you don't respect other people's valuables. And this is the attitude, obviously, Sean has. I'm not even going to say had. I'm going to say has because I don't think he's changed. I'm entitled. I'm self-entitled. I'm wealthy. I'm rich. I'm well-known. I'm famous. I can do whatever I want to whomever I want, when I want. I will not suffer the consequences. I dare you to try me. Well, he has been tried. And that's why he is currently in a court of law in New York City facing these racketeering and trafficking charges, arson, and whatever else is on the books. He's vile. He is vile. Lord have mercy. It's the world we live in. That's the latest, everybody. Was there anybody that wanted to come up, give their commentary? If not, I won't hold you all much longer because, as I said, I have more content to put out, some more shorts. For the recap of today's events, or yesterday's events. It's very sad. And they said she also broke down. during testimony yesterday. They had to take a brief break. Children love their mother. I was wondering what his children witnessed to Kim Porter. Thank you, hon. Don't know. And we do have situations where children will also lie, not tell the truth because they like a parent more than the other parent, and may witness abuse, manipulation, and lie. No, 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 my dad didn't beat my mom. He didn't mistreat my mother. So you have to tell yourself, as much as Sean has talked about Kim Porter, talked positive about her, there's no way we could sit here and think he didn't subject her to the same type of mistreatment, because she obviously had a journal with things about him in that journal. Don't know if those journals are legitimate or not. People were talking about those months ago. Um, if the journals are real, she wanted them published. They don't paint Sean in a positive light either. So as I said, I can't see Sean treating any woman with respect and dignity after what Cassie has repeated, because everything she's repeated is just disgusting. I don't care if you like sex with other people, you like watching other people have sex. What was told in court this week, it goes deeper than people swinging. It's just deeper than that. And what was told day before yesterday is that there's things that they can't even say on the networks pertaining to the case. 1 second. You have the wrong door. Wait for my damn door. All right, everybody, I'm back. Yeah, I don't see that he treated any other women better. There's no way. Not after what she told. He hasn't had any respect for any other women. Now, the flip side of this is that you may hear somebody say, "Oh yeah, he was nice to Kim and he didn't do all this," but you don't really know, because once she's dead, she can't tell us what her life was like with him. The children were young, so you're entitled to your opinion of what you believe and what you think, but I don't think he's been a great, as the defense has said, he has not been a kind boyfriend. I don't think he's been a kind boyfriend to any woman. And they're also saying they believe he had this behavior also, it dates back to college. So I haven't done any research on any people who will testify to how he acted when he was in school. I don't know if they will bring somebody into the courtroom to say, oh yeah, this is how he acted in school, his young days, blah blah blah. If they even want to take it back further to high school and elementary school. Don't know. It's very sad though. Very sad. Yeah, I'll put up some more content after this. Don't know if you all are going to go to bed or not. I'm basically up for hot second. You said except his mom. What about his mom? What about his mother? They said she lived a very exuberant life. So, I think perhaps he witnessed certain type of behavior. They said she had kept a lot of company in her house. Street people were running in and out of her house, even though she had moved away from the city. But some are saying that she kept a lot of company, street people running in and out of her house. So perhaps Sean witnessed certain type of behavior, sex, because I don't know if his mother was prostituting or having different men come in her house, if it was paid sex or just she had male company. But if a guy, a young child, boy, child is seeing this, he's not going to have too much respect for a woman or women, and he's going to treat women. He won't have respect for women because usually boys, idolize their mothers usually. So a young boy without a father figure, because I think his father died young, was murdered. A young boy watching different men come in, unsavory company, foul language. God forbid any of those men ever put their hands on her. If he witnessed any of that type of behavior, this is possibly why Sean behaves the way that he behaves. Um, I won't doubt it. No respect. Oh, thank you, Chaparita. Thank you so much. That is the latest, everybody. I have not brought you any other content this week. I apologize, but I've been working this trial, and I knew it would take up most of my time, talking about this and doing the short, and bringing you all this recap. I'm 1 hour and 17 minutes into this live. The link is in the chat if there's anyone in this viewing audience that wants to share their opinion pertaining to what you've witnessed in court. Feel free to hit the link. If not, I'll check out of here. I don't want to stay on much longer. Yeah, he probably witnessed a lot of unsavory behavior living with his mom. I won't doubt it. We learned that with R. Kelly. They had a neighbor touching and fondling them as boys. So you live by example. And R. Kelly's mother kept him locked in the home for some reason. And so he didn't learn any social skills. Then you talk about being touched and groped by a neighbor. Now you have opened Pandora's box where a child is learning ill behavior and has to be taught that that's not appropriate. A grown man touching a kid. And the next thing you know, you have a child touching a kid. We also learned his sister, the older sister, she molested him. So here now you're talking about a sister molesting her brother, which somebody probably taught her that behavior. And then they had the male neighbor, an elderly neighbor, he was touching the boys, a neighbor in the neighborhood. So he was 2-0. So two people touching a boy inappropriately, mother smothering him to death and not wanting him to go outside, which I don't know why. He obviously was very talented, could play music by ear, R. Kelly, but he ends up becoming a menace, sexual menace. And I think he and Sean are very eerily similar. Both have been accused of acts with homosexuality, molesting children, luring children in to come in their fold musically, and next thing you know, they're touching and groping them. So really, if they can get any verification of Sean touching any children, and they can get some type of proof, he should be indicted on those charges as well. Because I don't think there should ever be a timeline on sexual assault. It should be just like homicide. You can bring the proof, bring the charges. Yes, it's a very vicious cycle. And sadly, we have a lot of people out here who fancy children. Why, I don't know. There's nothing you should see in a child, an infant, a toddler, a school-aged kid. But sadly, there are people who do. There's a black guy who was just arrested here in Knoxville for sleeping with the children at the school, past and previous students and current students at West High School. And he's, I think, 32 years of age. So it just goes to show you what is going on out here. And so he's walking around these students, coaching them, doing whatever he was doing, and no one has any idea that something's going on. And I just think it's weird because how far back are we going to find out that he's been messing with these kids? And also in Marable, Tennessee, a county over for me, same thing, coach, been messing with the kids, and he's going to get probation if he follows the probation. Without any hitches, 6 months, he'll get a diversion of getting the record expunged, which I think is foul. I'm trying to understand what judge would allow this. He's admitted to touching kids, and you're going to give him a judicial diversion for what? This just shows you the justice system is not right. A person goes into court and says, yes, I touched these kids. And you're going to say, well, I'm going to put you on probation for 6 months. You don't get in any trouble. We'll expunge this record. So then he can then go what? Go teach somewhere else and start the cycle all over again. This is bullshit. This is bullshit. And sadly, yes, parents will get wind that their children have been touched. They don't do anything. Parents get information that their children are being touched in their own house. They don't do anything. And next thing you know, the children grow up. They act out exactly what was done to them. So now we have us another sadist running around who was once a victim. And that's what usually happens if the person doesn't get any help and differentiate right from wrong. The victim becomes a sadist. It's very sad. Well, I'm not going to keep you all. That's the latest events pertaining to Sean and Cassie Ventura. It is Thursday. When she goes to court this morning, she will be on the cross by the defense. I'm sure it's not going to be the best. Hopefully she'll persevere to bring her set information and answer the questions. But she is pregnant, near due. And I'm just hoping it doesn't affect her pregnancy because I'm sure she's very stressed. And I'm also wondering what she and her husband are talking about behind closed doors. If he's asking her, hey, why didn't you tell me this went on, that went on? Is her husband seeing her in a different light? You have to ask those questions now because this man walked out of court yesterday while she was testifying. So has he been asking her, hey, what happened? Why didn't you tell me what happened? Has this happened with any other men? He may even ask her about HIV, AIDS, diseases. Why not? Because now he knows more than he probably has ever been told. And I'm telling you, I don't see her telling him all of these things before she filed the lawsuit. And she had to have discussed it with him. Hey, I'm going to file a lawsuit against Sean. So maybe she did tell him. I could be wrong. Maybe she sat down and said, hey, I'm going to sue this man for all the ugly things he did to me. I'm going to tell you what he did to me. Maybe she went to her family, told them too, sat down and had a, discussion, roundtable discussion. I'm going to file a lawsuit. He ended up settling a day later because Sean didn't want that information out. But somehow once it got out that she sued him, the state heard about the allegations and then they brought forward the charges. So as they said today on the news, had she not filed the lawsuit, there probably wouldn't be any charges and Sean would not be in court today. All right, everybody, I'm going to check out of here. You all have a wonderful, wonderful week and weekend. If I don't see some of you again, I'm going to put some shorts up in the YouTube queue. Look forward to seeing quite a few of them in the next hour. God bless all of you. Please be safe. Mind the children. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. This is a recap of day 3 of Cassandra Ventura's testimony against Sean Puffy Combs. He is facing several charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, arson. He is presumed innocent. He has pled not guilty to all of the charges. We will see what today will bring in court Thursday. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McAngie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are welcome in the live stream. Thank you for the donation, Ms. Chaparita. I'll be back later with more stimulating content and commentary. And also follow me on the Newsbreak app, where I also give the same type of commentary pertaining to breaking news. You've been listening to The Vault Exhale. Thank you.